What up guys, Shady Cash here bringing you another commentary. This one is Domination on Launch. The setup is WA2000 with extended mags. My secondary is the M72, lethal is Tomahawk, tactical is Smoke, my equipment is C4. The perks I ran this match were Ghost, Scout, and Hacker, and my kill streak was UAV, Care Package, and Attack Chopper. This is footage from my 9th Prestige. I'm a 9th Prestige right now. About a level 35. During this match was a level 20. Hadn't really purchased any kill streaks or anything yet, and I'm really just working on trying to get my pros unlocked here. I got my sniper on, trying to get my scout. My 9th Prestige was the first time I'd ever gotten Scout Pro, and so far I love it. Fast weapon switch is a lot better than you'd think. On top of that, for some reason, I just get really good luck when I run Scout with hit markers and, getting kills with the sniper rifle. It seems like it doesn't bob basically whatsoever, and I can scope in on somebody, hold my breath for a few seconds, shoot them, and then when I go to re-scope on the next person, there's basically no bob at all to the sniper rifle. It's great. And then I got my launcher as my secondary. I'm trying to get my Ghost Pro. I had everything else done. I'm just trying to get those final, knock those spy planes or whatever aerial kill streaks they call in, so I can get that done with. And I don't really have a spectacular match this match or anything. I end up going 30 something and 10, which for me rushing around with the sniper rifle isn't too bad, especially when I'm using one that I'm not very comfortable with. But I really wanted to post this just because I had a fun time playing this match. On top of that, I've said in previous commentaries that I thought the only sniper rifle that was really worth using in core was the L96, and I'm going to go ahead and disagree with myself a little bit now, because after using the WA, I think it's a really solid gun. I mean, that thing shoots like a nail gun. It's just, bop, bop, bop. I run up on a few guys in here like it's a shotgun and take them out. With the L96, you miss that first shot, you're pretty much screwed. With the WA, it's not a big deal. You can keep firing, and your bullets are going to keep landing right on the mark. So I wanted to post it for that, and also it's close to a 10-minute long match. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on. With Modern Warfare 3, there's been a lot of speculation lately about that game, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about, as far as I know, what's going on, and maybe a bit of the history if you guys didn't know. I'm sure most people that, if you're hardcore enough into Call of Duty to watch the videos on YouTube, you probably know all this stuff already, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. So, Infinity Ward was founded in 2002 by three guys: Vince Zampella, Grant Collier, and Jason West. Grant has gone on since then. He now works for Activision, but anyway, Infinity Ward, they started out with those guys and 22 other members, all of whom had all worked on Medal of Honor Allied Assault together. When they first started the company, Activision purchased 30% of it, to help them fund and get started and everything. And they began work on what would become Call of Duty for the PC. That game was released in 2003, at which time, I think the very next day, Activision purchased the remaining 70% of Infinity Ward, and everyone employed there was signed to long-term contracts. Infinity Ward went on to make COD 2, the original Modern Warfare, and Modern Warfare 2. Treyarch has been around since the late 90s, and they were acquired by Activision in 2001. They made games like the Tony Hawk ports for the Dreamcast and the Game Boy, and Spider-Man ports for the Dreamcast. Then, in 2005, Grey Matter Interactive merged with them, and it was at that time, basically, that Treyarch released their first COD, COD 2, the big red one. It was basically just a consoleized version of COD. This was before, I don't know if you guys remember this, but back before, really, the original Halo for the Xbox, the PC ports that we got on consoles were just sad, compared to the PC versions. They just weren't really much of anything. I think, that's a big part of the reason that PC gamers kind of looked down on console gamers for a while. I had a lot of friends that played on PC, and I'm sitting there playing GoldenEye 007 and they're all basically just snickering at me, but I don't care. I still love that game. Anyway, they went on to make like COD3, World at War. They made the Wii edition of Modern Warfare, which I'm sure a whole 2.5 people out there have played, and Black Ops, which is basically the most successful game in entertainment to date. And Infinity Ward being the original guys that came up with this franchise and everything, I think, as much as they may have respected Treyarch's game and what they accomplished as designers and developers, and, don't get me wrong, I think all Treyarch's games are pretty amazing. I just think Infinity Ward didn't want their games confused with Treyarch's. They wanted to be their own thing. So Infinity Ward approached Activision with a little bit of a deal they had, hoping, that Activision would agree to it. Let Treyarch continue developing COD games. They could basically have the franchise. Weston Zampella propositioned that their new game, Modern Warfare 2, lose the whole COD moniker altogether. Activision basically refused. In all likelihood, I'm guessing they didn't want to separate their biggest franchise since Tony Hawk, and possibly of all time. Well, then on March 1st, 2010, a few months after Modern Warfare 2 was released, Activision reported to the Securities and Exchange Commission that Weston and Zampella were being fired for breaches in contract and insubordination. Now, the breaches in contract thing is basically Weston and Zampella. I'm pretty sure this is because Activision wasn't willing to do that separation of the franchise. Went on to go to talk to Electronic Arts specifically about, possibly starting another company with them. Well, there's where that comes in. Where the insubordination comes in, I would speculate that if you look at your copy of Modern Warfare 2, if you have the Prestige or the Hardened editions, it doesn't say Call of Duty anywhere on the case, anywhere on the disc. Whereas you look at the regular versions of the game, and Call of Duty's plastered all over it. I almost wonder if Weston Zampella somehow got around Activision and got them to start pressing copies of the game without the Call of Duty moniker on it. And then when Activision found out, they maybe to save money used those discs and put them with the special edition and continued pressing discs with the Call of Duty name on it for, just the standard release. But regardless of the speculation, they were terminated, and they filed a lawsuit against Activision for unpaid royalties. And basically, it's come out in the court documents that Activision is working on a Modern Warfare 3, and that Infinity Ward is going to be developing it. The kicker here, though, is that through April and May of 2010, 46 employees left Infinity Ward after Weston Zampella did strike a deal with EA and formed a new company called Respawn. And they've all gone on to work for them at Respawn. My question is, who's really at Infinity Ward to make this game? We all saw after, a lot of people blame Infinity Ward for not keeping up with the updates and putting out patches for, things that were being exploited in Modern Warfare 2. Well, I hope everyone out there realizes that nobody that worked on that game was really there to do anything about it. And I think the responsibility fell to Activision. Either way, when you see the support that game got from the remaining team members, I don't hold out much hope for Modern Warfare 3 unless Weston and Zampella somehow win this lawsuit and, go on to actually make that game at Respawn. If they don't, whatever game they do make in their next franchise, I'm sure it'll be big and it'll be amazing, and a few years from now we'll all be talking about how great it is. On a little side note, I'm sure most of you know this, but Bungie's signed with Activision since leaving Microsoft and got a real sweetheart of a deal. They'll basically retain all the rights to their intellectual properties, and Activision will just get to publish their games for the next 10 years. I'm really excited to see what comes of that, and for all my friends with a PS3 to get a chance to play some Bungie games and see how great they are.